Travis d'Arnaud has a 4 home run weekend and a series win against the Texas Rangers. We might have a new version of Charlie Morton and Owen Murphy racking up the strikeouts down at the minor league level. We'll discuss all of that and more on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jacob Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast on social media at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. If you're new, hit that thumbs up button as well to help support the show here at a Locked On Braves. You're listening on the audio version. Thank you so much for your support as well. If you would, please leave me a 5-star review. I would really appreciate it. Thank you to all my everydayers out there. We got D Wild, Lifts, Rich, Gunderlock, and Donald Macker. Let me know on our last video that they are everydayers. If you're an everydayer, please let me know down in the comments section below. Appreciate all your support here at Locked On Braves and enjoy hearing from you wherever you're listening to Locked On Braves each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. It is our Monday episode here, so we're going to recap the weekend. A series win over the Rangers. Talk about Travis d'Arnaud, Charlie Morton, Chris Sale, what's going on with Matt Olson and Austin Riley. We'll discuss all of that. And it is a Monday episode, so we'll also do our Minors Monday segment, recapping on everything happening down on the farm this past week. Bryce Elder is back. We'll talk about that in the final segment as we preview an upcoming 3-game series at home with the Miami Marlins. Let's start as we typically do on Monday, though, with the highlights from the weekend. And it was another series win. I know it ended with a little bit of disappointment on Sunday night baseball on a 6-4 loss, but they did win the series against the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers, winning the first 2 games of that series. And they've now won series over the Philadelphia Phillies, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Houston Astros, and the Texas Rangers. The final 4 teams in last year's postseason, the Braves have already taken down in series this year. That should tell you how good this team is and how big of a year it could be for this Atlanta Braves team. Let's get in some of the individual highlights, though, and you got to start with Travis d'Arnaud and just what a huge weekend that he had. I joked on the postcast Friday night with me and Grant McCauley, which you can see the video of on Locked On Sports Atlanta or hear the audio version in your Locked On Braves podcast feed. But I joked because on Friday's episode of Locked On Braves, I was talking about this Braves offense and how great it's been despite, Sean Murphy not being there and Travis d'Arnaud's 500 OPS that he has. Well, he nearly doubled that OPS over the weekend, certainly in one game on Friday night where he hit 3 home runs in one game. He's just a third catcher to do that. The other 2 are in the Hall of Fame already. His grand slam on Friday night broke open a 3-3 tie after the Rangers had evened it up in the top half of that inning. And it really just put the game on ice right there. It was a huge swing. Again, his 3rd home run of the game. He had a chance for a 4th late in the game. Michael Harris got a home run in the last inning in the bottom of the 8th, which brought Travis d'Arnaud back up to the plate, but worked a 3-2 count. Probably should have walked. That strike zone was a little bit lower than usual on Friday night, but instead he gets a ground out to shortstop and fails to get that 4th home run. But a huge night for Travis d'Arnaud. And then he comes back on Saturday and hits another home run, this one giving the Braves some breathing room late in the game. It took a 3-2 advantage to a 5-2 advantage and made things a little bit easier there in the 9th inning for Raisel Iglesias. We've talked about this a lot, and it's not just the depth of the team. You look at losing in Ozzie Albies, and yes, you don't want to have to live with a Luis Guillorme or a David Fletcher in your lineup for long periods of time, but those are MLB players that can fill in. They have major league experience. They're not going to hurt you, and Guillorme has been great defensively. But it's just the depth that you have. And you look at the catcher position, you lose somebody like Sean Murphy, who, again, I said coming into the year, I believed he would, and maybe still could, it was going to establish himself as the best catcher in the game, both defensively and the power that he brings at the plate. You lose somebody like that, and you have somebody like Travis d'Arnaud, who has the experience that he has, a World Series winning catcher, caught every inning of that World Series run. And it's just such a tremendous advantage for the Braves to be able to have somebody like that step in who is going to, at the very least, handle the pitching staff. And I feel like he comes up with big hits in key moments, but then he can have dimes like this, games like this, where he can dominate for a stretch, a little bit of a stretch. And that's certainly what we saw over this weekend. Travis d'Arnaud, who hadn't really gotten it going at the plate overall. Like I said, I still feel like he's had some big hits this season, even before this past weekend. But a 4 home run weekend certainly improves those numbers that were looking a little down for Travis d'Arnaud coming into the weekend. And not just that, Chadwick Tromp, and I talked about this during the offseason where, he elected free agency, and then the Braves were able to bring him back on a minor league deal. And I can remember, I'm not going to go back through all my offseason podcasts to tell you I told you so, but I can remember when the Braves brought him back, me talking on here how big that was, because I like Chadwick Tromp. I think he is a very solid, third catcher on your team. Seems like whenever he comes up, he gets a big hit. It wasn't the case, unfortunately, on Sunday, but still, everybody seems to love him, loves throwing to him. He seems like a great guy. Seems like a very smart catcher. He threw out 2 runners on the bases Sunday night to help the Braves kind of stay in that game. So again, it's not just Travis d'Arnaud, it's the depth behind him as well with a guy like Sandy Tromp. And there's another depth option there at the minor league level as well that we'll talk about in our Minors Monday segment. So the Braves looking very good at the catcher position. Can't wait to get Sean Murphy back. Certainly don't want to rush an oblique injury, though, and have him re-injure that. But the Braves are able to fill that in with some quality depth in Travis d'Arnaud and Chadwick Tromp. My other takeaway from the weekend is Charlie Morton. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into this, and I know we did last Tuesday as well. But we may be looking at a new version of Charlie Morton. I've made a big deal on this podcast, and I did last Tuesday, about the fact that he's just not getting the swing and miss on the curveball as much as we're used to seeing. The whiff rate on his curveball is down from 42% last year to just 27.1% this year. And maybe that's a flaw in the way that we evaluate pitchers in today's game. We tend to look at the strikeout rate, look at the swings and misses to tell you who the best pitchers are. And I still think that's generally the case. If you're missing bats, you're going to have a better chance of succeeding and dominating. But he is 40 years old. You have to keep that in mind. I have to keep that in mind. And perhaps he's having to change things up a bit in order to have success. Now, we haven't necessarily seen that. We did this past weekend, a good start, 6 innings, 2 earned. I will take that. But it's been a bit of a rocky start overall for him, as maybe he's kind of adjusting into this new pitcher that we're seeing. CJ Nitkowski talking about it on the broadcast, the fact that he's throwing the curveball more for strikes and he's getting weak contact with it. You look at I talked about the whiff rates and how it's way down this year, but you look at the actual results on his curveball this year, and they're still really, really good. Batters hitting just 209 against his curveball this season, and that's compared to 177 last year. So it is up, but still 209, very good. The slug and the X slug are basically identical this year to last year. So it's still not getting hit extremely hard. It's still an effective pitch for him, just in a different way. It's not in the dominant fashion that we're used to seeing with the high swinging strikes. He's still getting his strikeouts for the most part. Again, didn't this past weekend. But one thing you notice about this Rangers team over the weekend compared to the Braves, not a lot of swinging strikes. Rangers did not whiff a lot, where the Braves were piling up the swinging strikes. I think Evaldi had over 15. Even Michael Lorenzen, I believe, had 14 on Sunday. So this Rangers team doesn't swing and miss a lot. But it's still, going back to Charlie Morton and his curveball, it's still a very effective pitch for him. He's throwing the curveball in the zone a lot more than ever. Since 2017, he's thrown the curveball in the zone between 40 to 46% of the time. Last year was the lowest percentage since 2016, as he threw his curveball in the zone just 40.7% of the time. Obviously, that's probably a little bit too low and probably leading to some of the walks, and maybe why he wanted to adjust that. And this year, he's throwing in the zone nearly 50% of the time, 49.7% of the time. He is throwing that curveball in the zone. If that remains, it would be the second highest mark of his career. In 2012, he threw his curveball in the zone 54.4% of the time. He was with the Pirates then, completely different pitcher at that point in Charlie Morton's career. The shape of his curveball is also just a little bit different. I think it's probably too early maybe to take too much into this, as we've played in a lot of cold weather. Those things tend to change throughout the season a little bit, but it's about an inch difference, both vertical and horizontal, from last year. It's getting a little bit more drop and not as much horizontal movement this year. But again, the biggest key for me is that he's throwing it for strikes more. It's still being an effective pitch that's not getting hit very hard, and he's not giving up a lot of hits on it. It's just a different plan. And if this is a plan for him to potentially go deeper into games, then okay. If it's a plan for him to eliminate some of the walks and decrease some of the bad command, then okay. Again, I think we still need to see more, because the results are certainly mixed on this new version of Charlie Morton so far this year. What I've always loved about Charlie Morton, and why I've been a big supporter of his in the past, even when a lot of fans have been frustrated with him, is because of the swing and miss stuff, because of the big strikeout potential. He still has moments, he still has games where he can pitch like an ace. He can go out there and give you 6-7 innings of 2 earned or less and rack up 8, 9, 10 strikeouts. Can he do that with this new plan of attack that he has? That kind of worries me still a little bit. Can he be effective over 162? Can he be a third, fourth starter for you? Go out there, give you 6 innings, like I said, 2, 3 earned or less, and give your team a chance to win? I hope so. I really hope that's what we're going to get from Charlie Morton more often than not this year. That's what you need from him, from your third or fourth starter, which is what he is at this point. But if we're potentially just seeing a change in the 40-year-older's game right now. So I know I went pretty deep on that. I still got a couple other things I want to cover from the weekend, but I really wanted to highlight that as Charlie Morton, somebody that I've discussed a lot this year, because it's just different. Again, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing, although the results have been mixed, but we're just seeing a little bit different version of Charlie Morton in that curveball. So I want to make sure I highlighted that so that you can be aware of it as well and watch for that throughout his starts. All right, I do have a couple more things I want to touch on, and then we'll get into our Minors Monday segment here next. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Again, make sure you're burning rubber and not cash with eBay Motors. All right, guys, I need you all to listen up here. This is a huge announcement. I've been tracking the leaderboards every day, keeping my eye on the scores, putting all my heart into it, and I'm super pumped to announce I'm finally on top. That's right. Obviously, I'm talking about the hit mobile game, Monopoly Go. You probably heard of it. We've been talking about it here on the podcast. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great mobile twist on the classic Monopoly. You can play anywhere, anytime. You explore hundreds of Monopoly boards from Las Vegas to Camelot to the moon, all while raking in a huge fortune. Change rent on iconic properties. Just like classic Monopoly, you can charge your friends rent on your iconic properties as well. But my favorite part is the leaderboards, where you can see who's a Monopoly tycoon and who's gone bankrupt. So go get yourself on the charts today. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store and Google Play. Again, that's Monopoly Go, free on the App Store and Google Play today. All right, if you've been listening to Fox Sports, ESPN, you got them on your TV all day long, but you're constantly having to mute it because all they do is shout a bunch of nonsense. do yourself a favor. Switch on over to Locked On Sports Today, the 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube that carries you the best or brings you the best sports coverage, live reactions all day long, all in one place. You can also find it on the Amazon Fire free TV channels app, Amazon Fire TV channels app, where you get Locked On Sports Today. All right, I want to jump back into a couple of my takeaways from the weekend. Cold streaks for Matt Olson and Austin Riley. I'm probably going to go more in depth. This will be our Taco Tuesday segment on Tuesday's podcast, but it's been a bit of a struggle for them. Hopefully they'll figure it out on Monday, and maybe we'll have to switch things up for Tuesday's podcast. But just 3 hits in the last 5 games for Austin Riley. Matt Olson had a 3-hit game in the last game against Miami. So again, hopefully he gets it going against the Marlins, but just 1 hit in the last 6 games with 10 strikeouts. He hasn't homered in 2 weeks. Neither has Austin Riley. So it's been a struggle for both those guys. They came up in some big spots on Sunday and weren't able to come up with anything. So hopefully they get going soon. Again, in my mind, it speaks more to the depth of this team that you can have your 3 and 4 hitter go through week plus cold streak like both of these guys are in right now, and you can still have one of the best offenses in the league. But again, we'll dive more into that on Tuesday's episode, unless those 2 guys just break out on Monday night. And then I want to mention Chris Sale. He looked really good, went 7 innings, had that 1 bad inning again, though. That's the last couple starts now. He's looked really good, but just had that 1 inning where he gave up a crooked number. But I really like what I've seen from Chris Sale. Just 84.6 mile per hour average exit velocity against him and a 31.3% hard hit rate. Those are really good numbers. A 3.63 expected ERA tells you he's been better than his actual 4.38 ERA. A K rate, walk rate are solid. He's gone at least 5 1/3 innings in every start. He's gone 7 innings in his last 2 starts. He has at least 6 strikeouts in all 4 starts. And he's faced really, really good offenses. He's faced the Phillies, the Rangers, and the Diamondbacks. So I'm very encouraged by what I've seen from Chris Sale so far this year. All right, let's jump into our Minors Monday segment, catch you up with everything happening down on the farm. AJ Smith-Shawver had his best outing of the year so far. Went 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, just 3 strikeouts. But again, you'll take it right now. Hurston Waldrop, also a good start, but still some worrying signs in here at AA. 6 innings, 8 hits. I'm used to seeing Waldrop giving up some walks. He did just walk 1 batter, so that's the good part of this. But 8 hits against Hurston Waldrop, that's a bit surprising. Only allowed 1 earned run and 5 strikeouts. You also have to remember, maybe the defense isn't quite as best there at AA, maybe leading to some of those hits. I didn't actually watch the start, so I can't tell you that for sure. But I'm just not used to seeing big hit numbers like we've seen against Hurston Waldrop so far. Spencer Schwellenbach had his roughest outing of the year, 5 1/3, 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 earned runs, but he did strike out 8 batters. And we've been talking about the fact he's been so good, but he hasn't exactly gotten the strikeouts. He gets the strikeouts in this one, but then he walks 3, gives up 3. Still, obviously, very excited about Spencer Schwellenbach. But the pitching prospect we got to talk about right now is Owen Murphy. 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned, 11 strikeouts this past week. He now has 27 strikeouts in 17 innings pitched so far this year, a 1.59 ERA and a 0.82 whip. I don't get to watch a lot of minor league games during the year, obviously watching the Atlanta Braves, covering them. I might have to go back and watch an Owen Murphy start to see if he's doing something different. I had never been particularly high on Owen Murphy. I've had him in my top 5, top 6, I believe. I still think he's going to be a solid pitcher, but I didn't see a ton of upside with Owen Murphy. But if this strikeout potential is for real, maybe I need to go back and reevaluate Owen Murphy. He is off to an amazing start to the season, similar to J.R. Ritchie. What had me so excited about J.R. Ritchie last year is that his velocity was up. He was getting more swing and miss, and then he was racking up the strikeouts, and obviously then had the unfortunate injury. So I need to go back and watch Owen Murphy to see if there's something different that I didn't see this past offseason while watching film on him. Nacho Alvarez, 5 for 20 this past week, 4 walks, 4 strikes, no extra base hits. And that's what we're keeping an eye on with Ignacio Alvarez this year. Does the power come, and can he stick defensively at shortstop? Those are the 2 questions right now for Nacho Alvarez. Can't really speak to the defensive side of things. Like I said, I don't get to watch a lot of minor league games. Getting his hits, average looks fine. On base is fine. The walk to strikeout ratio is good, but no extra base hits this past week, and really not a lot on the season so far for Nacho Alvarez. Cade Keeler had another good week as well. They have him at Augusta, and he's pitched really, really well there so far to start his season. I think it's got to be time to move him up. I know he is just 21, but as a college guy, really kind of surprised that they continue to leave him down there. I would not be surprised if he got a call up pretty soon here, but he hasn't given up a run in 17 innings combined from last year and this year at that level. So it's probably time for the Braves to move up Cade Keeler to the next level, but he's off to a really good start this year. Another pitcher that, I wasn't really high on, but he's had a really good start to the season, a really good start to his professional career. And again, I think it's just time to kind of move him up. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, no earned, 4 strikeouts this past week. And I mentioned 17 innings at Augusta from last year to this year. Just 7 hits allowed, has walked 6, but no earned runs and 19 strikeouts. So again, Cade Keeler off to a great start for his career. Drew Hackenberg didn't pitch last week, was back on the mound this past week though, or didn't pitch the week previously, was pitching this past week. 3 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, not great, but just 1 earned run and 5 strikeouts. So those are your top prospects. We'll move through each league or each division here really quickly. At Gwinnett, Sandy Leon was talking about another veteran catcher with MLB experience that they have there for depth. 3 for 10 this past week, a double, a homer, and 5 walks. Forrest Wall gets sent down, and what does he do? He immediately starts hitting 4 for 8 in 2 games with a stolen base. Mentioned Bryce Elder. He had a good start this past week, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, and 7 strikeouts. Taylor Widener, he's a name to keep an eye on. 4 2/3, 2 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, 5 strikeouts. Not necessarily as somebody that's a top prospect that's going to come up and give you big starts or anything, but he could be somebody if things got bad and you needed an opener or somebody to come up and give you bulk innings. I think he would be that guy. If something happens to Jesse Chavez, let's hope that's not the case. Widener's just that guy that can come up and give you some bulk innings. Like I said, he could be an opener, give you 2 or 3 innings if you needed it. And he's had a pretty good start to his year at Gwinnett. Ray Kerr out of the bullpen, 2 2/3 innings, 2 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts, and a save. Grant Holmes, 2 scoreless innings as well, only allowed a hit, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. And then Alan Winans in relief, 4 innings, 1 hit, no walks, no earned, 2 strikeouts. Could be interesting to see if Alan Winans eventually morphs into that long relief role. With that good changeup that he has, can he get through a lineup, 1, maybe 2 times with that and kind of becomes maybe a piggyback starter, or like I said, maybe just a long reliever to get you a couple of innings? That might be the ultimate role for Alan Winans. At Mississippi, Drake Baldwin had his good week, 5 for 14, a double, a homer, a walk, no strikeouts. Justin Dean was 5 for 13 with a home run, 3 walks, and 2 stolen bases. On the mound, Ian Mejia, 6 innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, 1 earned, 9 strikeouts. He's off to a good start this year. And then Drew Parrish in 2 games, 6 2/3 innings, did allow 10 hits, but just 2 walks, 2 earned runs, and 8 strikeouts. And Hayden Harris in relief, 2 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. At Rome, maybe the player of the week in the Braves system, my guy Kevin Kilpatrick, 11 hits in 26 at-bats, 7 runs scored, 5 doubles, a triple, a homer, 8 RBI, no walks to 5 strikeouts, and 1 stolen base. Do worry a little bit about the plate discipline. He can rack out the strikeouts, doesn't walk a ton. But, man, he's an exciting player. If he can ever kind of figure that out, a huge week for Kevin Kilpatrick, though. Really good week offensively for a lot of players at Rome. Justin Giannis had 8 for 17, 3 doubles, 2 homers. Ethan Workinger, 7 for 18, 2 doubles, 2 homers, and 4 walks. On the mound, Roldy Munoz, 7 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings. He did give up 4 earned runs on 3 hits and a walk. He had an outing on April 20th, though, where he tossed 2 2/3 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts. An arm that really impressed in spring training. Big stuff. Could be somebody for the bullpen in the next year or so. So want to continue to mention him. But he's had back-to-back rough outings this year. Outside of that, he's been really good. Jared Johnson, 2 1/3 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, 5 strikeouts, and picked up a save at Rome. And then finally at Augusta, Drew Compton, 6 for 14, 2 doubles, 5 walks, and a stolen base. That's a Georgia Tech kid there. Robert Gonzalez, 19-year-old from the Dominican Republic. He was 6 for 17, 2 doubles, a walk, and a stolen base. And then Garrett Bauman, 4th-round pick from last year, 6'8". He went 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 7 strikeouts. He has a 1.15 ERA and a 0.70 whip in 15 2/3 innings to start the year with 13 strikeouts. Certainly a name to watch there. And then finally, Riley Frey, 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 6 strikeouts. So that is your minor league update for the week. Let me know which prospects you're most excited about down in the comments section below. I love doing this Minors Monday update. Hopefully you enjoy it as well. Next, we'll talk about Bryce Elder's return to the big leagues for a start on Monday against the Marlins, and we'll preview that series here next. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. And right now, you're looking at the NBA playoffs. The Celtics are the favorites to win it all at plus 165. The Dodgers are currently the favorites to win the World Series at plus 350. The Braves right behind them at plus 500. You can see all of those lines over at FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make your first bet an automatic win. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/PlaySafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Bryce Elder will be called up on Monday to start. Darius Vines has been optioned back to AAA. Always felt like this would be the case. Just the timing of the Spencer Strider injury didn't work out for Bryce Elder as he had just pitched, and then the Braves didn't want to bring him up on 9 days rest, so they got him started Gwinnett this past Tuesday. I talked about it then. It felt like it would make sense depending on how things went with Darius Vines. I think, had he had another, really good start, maybe they give Darius Vines another shot, keep him in the rotation, but it always kind of seemed like it was pointing towards Bryce Elder getting inserted into this rotation on a Monday, and hopefully it does, settle things down in the rotation a little bit. Hopefully we can have a couple of turns through with these 5 guys and get them on a roll and stay healthy, and we can see the starting rotation get that continuity that I know Grant's talked a lot about on the postcast with this rotation, and see them get on a good roll, improve that starter's ERA that's been a little bit rough to start the year. He does give everybody else an extra day of rest. I think this will be 2 days of rest actually for Lopez, and this one as he gets pushed back to Wednesday's game. Max Fried will pitch on Tuesday. But the Braves are going to look for every opportunity, in my mind, or I believe, to do that this year. They're going to look for those chances to give Lopez, who hasn't been a starter for a while, give him some extra rest. Chris Sale, who hasn't thrown a lot of innings recently, some rest. Max Fried didn't throw a lot of innings last year and is coming off an injury-riddled season. Give him some rest. Charlie Morton's 40 years old. These guys are just going to need rest, and there's going to be times like this throughout the year where I think the Braves are going to look to call a guy up. They're going to look to push a guy back, use their off days, and be smart about this to try to limit guys' innings, but also make sure that they're not, going weeks at a time without starting. So just a great opportunity to do that. And like I said, hopefully insert Elder in the rotation and he can take off. Really excited to see what Bryce Elder can do. Glad to have him back in the rotation. Looking forward to his start on Monday night. Also, an update on Ozzie Albies. He seems to be moving around well. He's eligible to be back by the end of the week. We'll see if that happens. That would be, very quickly from a broken toe. But again, he's already taking infield and all of that, doing infield drills. Obviously need to see him running on it first, but could be back certainly within the next week or so. Look, I need to say this, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way. Listen to what the part I'm about to say first. Ozzie Albies is my everyday second baseman. I want him out there every day. There is no doubt about it. He's an all-star. He's one of the best second basemen in the game. Remember what I just said. However, the difference between watching Luis Guillorme play defense at second base right now and Ozzie Albies is night and day. It has been a pleasure to watch Luis Guillorme and the plays that he has made at second base in Ozzie's absence. And for those who really haven't believed me or haven't really noticed the defensive inabilities of Ozzie Albies the last couple of years, hopefully you've seen that and what we've gotten from Luis Guillorme and the plays that he's made. Look, again, I'm going to go back and say it, and hopefully you listen to this part of it. Ozzie Albies is my second baseman. I want him out there every day. He is an all-star. But the defense is lacking for Ozzie. There's no way around that. He has been a liability at second base at times, and just the arm, the lack of range, it has hurt the Braves at times. But I want Ozzie out there every day, and I hope he is back soon. All right, let's quickly preview this Marlins series. You got 3 with the Fish. The Marlins just split a 4-game series with the Cubs. Pitching matchups are Ryan Weathers versus Bryce Elder on Monday, Trevor Rogers versus Max Fried on Tuesday, and then to be determined versus Ronaldo Lopez on Wednesday. I like the Braves' chances in that one. Weathers, he's pitched good here of late, 3 earned or less in all 4 starts he's had, and especially his last 2 starts have been really good. He had 19 swinging strikes in his last start, which came against the Giants, 9 of 14 on that changeup. Fastball averages 96 miles an hour, tops out at 97. So he's got a real hard fastball, good changeup, something to watch on Monday. Rogers had a decent start against the Braves last time out. He's given up 2 earned or less in his last 3 outings, including that one against the Braves where he gave up 8 hits and 1 walk, but just 2 earned over 5 innings with 5 strikeouts. We'll preview that one more on Tuesday morning. But on Monday night, it's Ryan Weathers versus Bryce Elder, who's making his return, and he'll be matched up with the young Ryan Weathers, who's on a little bit of a good run himself. So it should be a fun matchup. Hopefully the Braves can get this series started with a win and continue racking up those series wins. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and it's now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On. That will do it here for this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. If you're new, hit that thumbs up button. Follow us on social media at shortstopball, at LockedOn_Braves. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.